Basketball standout Monroe Bird III was trying to score some points with a new female friend. But as they sat talking in his car, an armed security guard appeared, and an innocent night was about to turn tragic.
He was just a great guy.
Monroe's family affectionately call him Trey. At 6 feet 8 inches tall, Trey towered over everyone, including all of his friends.
He started growing probably when he was 15, and he just kept growing. And he liked being tall, but sometimes he'd get annoyed when people would be like, "How tall are you? Do you play basketball?"
Trey was a star on the hardwood, but his heart was in the kitchen. The 21-year-old dreamed of becoming a top chef and one day owning his own restaurant. But all of that would change in an instant. It was a bitter cold winter night in Tulsa, Oklahoma. At Trey's apartment complex, armed security guard Ricky Stone was on patrol in an unmarked vehicle. Trey and his friend were parked outside his door when suddenly, a man dressed in dark clothing flashes a light through the car window. It was Stone, and he meant business.
He saw a car that had some people in it, asked for ID.
Trey had no idea who Stone was. Tulsa Police Sergeant Dave Walker investigated the case.
Talk about the security officer, Mr. Ricky Stone. What authority does he or does he not have?
He can carry a firearm and be armed security, patrol on a private property.
Does a security officer have the right to engage and ask for ID?
I think you have the right to ask, just like Mr. Bird probably has the right to say no.
Trey didn't give Stone his ID. He didn't need to. After all, he lived there. His stepdad says he decided to avoid a fight and just drive away.
Trey always shied away from confrontation. He would rather talk you down rather than to escalate anything.
But what happens next depends on who you talk to. Ricky Stone claims Trey moved to the front seat. Once behind the driver's wheel, he put the car in reverse, trying to run him over. Stone claimed the car hit him and he jumped onto the trunk, the butt of his gun smashing the rear window. Stone shot 3 times at the car, claiming self-defense. Neighbors heard the gunfire and called 911.
Police emergency.
Me and my wife were inside our apartment. We heard 3 gunshots.
And right outside my window, I just heard 3 gunshots back to back to back.
One of the bullets hit Trey in the back of his neck. Doctors say he was instantly paralyzed and lost control of his car running into a tree.
He was an apartment security guard who was trying to be a police officer, and because he lacked the training, because he lacked the discipline, because he lacked the protocol, Monroe Bird was shot.
Trey's family attorney, Benjamin Crump, says, when you look at the actual evidence, things just don't add up.
The bullet hits him, he becomes paralyzed instantly. He can't then put the car in gear and then drive another 70 yards away before he hits that tree. That defies all logic, all physics, all forensics.
Sadly, what didn't defy physics was Trey's condition. A single bullet to the neck had left the young man with only the ability to move his head. An entire family's life changed forever.
But did you ever think that you would be taking care of Trey the way you had to at the end of his life?
I never thought that I would, but that's what you do for your son. Because he was still on a ventilator, they were talking about putting him in, one of the places where they take vent patients, and I just couldn't even see it happening.
Trey told the local newspaper Tulsa World, "I can't even scratch my own face when it itches. I've been down, but I'm trying to stay positive for the most part. But it's hard watching people walk around. I'm pretty angry about it. I'm stuck paralyzed for the rest of my life." But tragedy would strike Trey again. 4 months after he was shot, Trey dies from a blood clot in his leg. His sister Kira still can't believe he's gone.
I wish I could just have one more conversation. Just tell him what I'm going through and the things that I've done. He always had good advice.
What has the world lost?
He was the life of the party. They really A light really did go out when he died. People always say they wish they knew him, and they really did miss out on knowing my brother.
What do you want to say to Ricky Stone about what he did that day and about what it does to you every day?
I don't want to say anything to him. I hope one day I can forgive him.
What started as a seemingly innocent night with a friend had turned into a horrible tragedy. But would the armed security guard pay any price? Moments after the incident,
Ricky?
Cops bring Stone in for questioning. He defends his actions, claiming it was a justified self-defense shooting under the Stand Your Ground law.
I was scared. For my life at that time. Why not just move off to the side when he puts his car in reverse? That I didn't know what he was going to do. He didn't stop when I asked him to. He didn't comply with me at all. All he wanted to do was get away and hit me with his car.
As cops continued to question the security guard, they soon find a piece of evidence in Stone's own backpack that paints a different picture of what might have happened that dark night.
There's a backpack in that truck. Is that your backpack?
Oh, yeah.
The crime scene guys looked through that. There's a little bit of weed in that backpack.
Okay.
Ricky Stone's backpack held a small amount of marijuana.
When was the last time you smoked any weed?
Probably been about 2.5 weeks.
But Stone submitted to a drug test, and the toxicology report soon revealed the Rent-A-Cop's blood contained 6.8 nanograms of THC, an amount deemed impaired in any U.S. state.
Do we want people out there acting as security guards, armed, high on dope? And I personally do not.
Attorney Melvin Hall is on Trey's family's legal team.
He was high on marijuana. We also know that he's a gun fanatic. And so it was a recipe for disaster. He decided to be judge, executioner, everything, all rolled into one. And on top of that, he was intoxicated.
With a gun.
With a gun.
The evidence of drug use was clear, but justice for Trey was more murky. Would the Tulsa, Oklahoma District Attorney charge Ricky Stone in connection with the shooting? Soon, Stone is charged with misdemeanor pot possession, and a warrant is issued for his arrest. But Stone is long gone. He skipped out of the state of Oklahoma, never to be seen in Tulsa again.
Just the most horrific thing you could ever imagine that never should have happened. He never should have been a security guard.
He said he was in fear of his life. And from the evidence at the car, he was hit. It was enough to throw up onto the car and break a back window. So there had to be some sort of force going on there. He shot. That was his decision.
Coming up.
We were like 50 feet away from him when he first shot.
The controversial case heats up. An exclusive first-time interview with a key witness. The young woman in the car with Trey Bird tells us what she says happened that night in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And Crime Watch Daily travels across the Southwest to track down Ricky Stone.
Mr. Stone,